Yes, indeed. Yes, they do.
They
I've
do.
done it before too.
I've done it before too.
So I got a new nickname for you, or a new like quasi insulting nickname,
Okay.
teasing nickname.
Okay.
Tom Naughty.
Tom Naughty.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we were Attercop.
You got to talk into the microphone. You're not talking into the microphone.
Oh, sorry. I thought we were just talking.
We are. We're doing like a cold open or a warm open or whatever. It's some kind of other type of open.
It's like warming up.
Yeah, because I thought that would be, like last episode, we were like, this is a new day. We're trying some new stuff here.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not going to be like, hi, everybody, welcome to the Tolkien Road. With like the lead into the theme song.
Oh, okay.
We're
going to do?
We're both going to talk into our microphones, first of all.
Okay.
But yeah, we're just going to like start it off
just
like that. Just
like
how we did.
Chatting?
Yeah.
About whatever?
Being like, I'm calling you Tom Naughty from now on.
Okay.
You're Tom Naughty.
And you're Attercop.
Because no one wants to be called Tom Naughty.
No.
Yeah.
Especially not.
You would be mad too if somebody called you Tom Naughty.
I'm not sure I would. I think I would be kind of complimented.
Yeah, well, that's just because you're weird.
I don't understand what's, like, why is it? There must be something I'm missing.
You just don't even know.
I guess I don't. Because I'm like, really? If there's lots of things that I would prefer less.
Yeah.
People call me.
Well, then I'll just keep calling you Tom Naughty then, since you don't care.
So it's fine.
Since you don't care.
Can you just call me Thomasina Naughty? Because, Thomasina is the female form of Tom.
No, because you'd want that.
Oh.
No, I'm not going to call you that.
Okay.
All right. Hey, everybody. We are here, Tolkien Road, John and Greta coming at you.
Hey, hey.
And here's our new theme song. Yeah.
Oh, man.
The
That's so
Hobbit.
groovy.
Chapter 8, Flies and Spiders.
Flies and spiders.
You know it.
Coming at you.
That's right. All right. Well, this is kind of a long one. Maybe we'll have to take that down a little bit.
Oh, were we
I'm waiting for the splash.
It keeps going.
You may have to edit this one down a little bit.
Did we ever have anybody say anything about the theme song options?
I think Josh voted.
Josh. And what did he vote for?
I'm gonna go ahead and take that down before the splash because it's so long. Oh, there we go.
There it is. You just weren't patient enough.
I wasn't. Yeah.
Did Josh vote for that one?
I think he voted for number 3 actually, which was this one. Hold on. Yeah, he liked this one.
I can see why.
Mm-hmm.
It's that was the dance club one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we decided on no. I don't think he felt strongly enough like that. He wasn't like demanding. He wasn't like thou shalt do number 3 instead of number 4.
Okay.
So thankfully it didn't come to any kind of a fight or anything like that.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Because he's on Twitter, so like people on Twitter can get a little.
You don't want to get on his bad side.
Get a little crazy, right? Calling you out and stuff like that. That's why I don't do Twitter a lot. But
Same.
we do have a new segment that involves Twitter.
Really?
We're working in a segment here. This is a good one.
You are just throwing all kinds of curveballs at me.
I am. I'm taking it up a notch.
Right on.
I'm like
Go
Emerald
for
Lagasse. Bam! Kick it up a notch.
Bam!
Remember that guy?
Oh, how? Please.
Of course you do.
I introduced you to Emerald.
Yeah, you're the chef. You're the cook.
You know it.
I do know it. All right.
Segment.
So, hey,
New
you know what? Well, before we get there,
okay.
We need to talk about Patreon. So, thank you to those who have patronized us in the last few weeks since our last episode.
Yes, thank you guys.
We greatly appreciate it.
Very, very much.
Shout out to those who have. So we've got my buddy Ish of the Hammer. Ish of the Hammer, as he's known.
Cool.
As he prefers to be known. John Rice, of course, who shared that amazing note with us.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
On the last episode. Then Kat Lane.
Kat.
And then an anonymous admirer from Israel.
Oh.
And David Bigwood, who has been a patron in the past, renewed his support. So that's awesome.
Terrific.
So yeah, I'm
Thank you,
really
guys.
really excited, and I think that's everyone since the last episode. If I didn't get you, I apologize. Let me just make sure I call it everybody who signed up in February. It won't be too hard since I got it kind of pulled up right here. So we've got not this one. We want this one, I think. Yes. Yeah, John Rice, Ish of the Hammer, Kat Lane, an anonymous admirer from Israel, David Bigwood. Let's see here. Sarah Murphy, William Hutton, and Chuck Farnung. Those are those who either renewed or began support in the month of February 2019.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Y'all rock.
Thank you very much, and thank you to all of our patrons. We appreciate you all.
Yes.
So we're on our merry way, getting towards 2+ episodes per month, mandatory for us, right? We got to hit another level. Here's the thing. I know there's so many of you out there because I see all the downloads, right? So $1, right? $1 per episode, and we're not talking, we don't have time and we don't have any plans anytime soon to do more than 4 episodes a month. So all it takes, right, is $1, which if we did 4 episodes would be like 4 episodes a month.
Yep.
So you could be an insider on that, right? You could help us get there, and all you have to do is head on over to patreon.com/TolkienRoad right now. Yeah, I'm talking to you. You're the one who's pointing at yourself like, me? Yeah, I'm inviting you to go over and do something you're going to be proud of. Do something you're going to want to tell your family and friends about. You're going to want to tell them that you support the Tolkien Road on Patreon and you make it happen so that others can enjoy this wonderful podcast, which you love so much, which you binge listen to, which you spent 2 weeks of your life binge listening to. Let's just have a moment of silence to allow for that sacred moment for those who haven't signed up yet, to just maybe hit pause and head on over to patreon.com/TolkienRoad and make a pledge of $1 per episode. And hey, if you're worried that we're going to 1 month we're going to record 20 episodes and charge you for them, you can put a max on it, right? So you can say, I'm not paying, look, I like you guys, but you're not worth more than $5 a month to me.
Which we would totally understand.
I get it.
I totally get it
I
too.
get it. I'm being a little facetious right there. I know not everybody can always do that, but
Right, yeah.
But let's just take that moment of silence and allow people to maybe prayerfully consider this moment.
Okay.
Let's get a little televangelist on people. Just prayerfully consider giving to the Tolkien Road during this moment of silence. Amen. Good for you.
I can't decide if that was weird or funny or uncomfortable. I don't know what that was.
Hopefully all of the above. Hopefully all of the above. And hopefully it will result in more pledges. So no, we're trying to be team players, together with you guys, arm in arm, right? We know there's so many of y'all out there who love the show, and people tell us, about binge listening habits and that kind of thing, and we want to get this thing back to the weekly pace. And I think if we can get it to the weekly pace, given the goals that we have, we can start considering doing even more cool stuff from there, right? So even beyond the weekly pace, right, which we're only about 25% of the way there, right? We could, once we get there, right, to that, we hit 100% for, doing at least 4 episodes per month, right? Then who knows? We could start offering all kinds of other cool stuff beyond that. So that's what that support would enable us to do. So, as we get closer, we'll start thinking more about that, and it'll be exciting.
Cool. Yeah. I'm excited.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah.
I'm excited that you're excited.
Cool.
And by the way, thank you, really a big thank you, extra big thank you to those who pledge more than $1 per episode, because first, it makes us feel really good.
Yeah, it does.
And well, darn Garshnart, Greta, we got to kind of pick up midstream here because GarageBand just stopped on us. So
GarageBand.
Have to splice this one together.
I'm sure you'll make it sound good.
Yeah. But we were just saying, hey, we thank you if you're one of those people who has pledged more than $1 per episode, because it makes us feel really good. And you're helping us get there even quicker. So, if you're one of those folks that pledge $5 per episode, it's like, wow, you're helping us get there 5 times as fast.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing.
It is.
So,
it's really cool. But every little bit helps. So
absolutely,
we appreciate all of y'all.
So enough of Patreon.
Yes,
you guys
enough.
like, would you please shut up
I know,
about
right?
Patreon already?
I was thinking the same thing.
Okay. All right. Well,
now,
hey,
moving on.
Help me, help you. Help me, help you.
Okay.
Help me, help you. All right. So the new segment that you are wondering about, Greta, this is a segment that I like to call, and it's got its own theme song, by the way.
Oh my gosh.
What?
You have a lot of time on your hands.
Well, I'm just using all these old theme songs that we never used. Right?
Oh, recycling.
This is The Lord of the Rings on Prime, on Twitter, on the Tolkien Road.
Oh, wow. I like this. Cool.
Yeah.
Yep. This is good.
Might need somebody to come up with a theme, like words for this theme song, like the haiku theme song.
Yeah.
So yeah. The Lord of the Rings. On Prime, on Twitter, on the Tolkien Road. Well timed.
That was very well timed.
All right. So last time we introduced you to The Lord of the Rings on Prime on Twitter. And
except we didn't call it that.
Well, that's what it is. It's Lord of the Rings on Prime, which is Amazon Prime. So we're referring to this TV show that's coming soon coming.
I mean, we talked about it. But I'm saying it wasn't an official segment.
It was not an official segment. So this is the unveiling of being officially a segment. Yeah.
Cool.
Right on. So, yeah. So Lord of the Rings on Prime on Twitter, and this is an account you can follow at LOTR on Prime, or maybe it's at Lot Ron Prime. I think it might be at Lot Ron Prime.
That's probably it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Good old Ron Prime. Yeah. Okay. So they basically been posting this map, right? And it's the Middle Earth map that if you've got your copy of Lord of the Rings, but it's got some different names within it, and it's actually shows some different regions. You can go back and listen to the last episode, and we tell you more about like some of the things on there that are curious. So since the last episode, they've made another post and updated the map, and they updated and said 9 for the mortal men doomed to die. So they're continuing to lay out the ring poem, right?
Yep.
That everybody knows from the Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
And then they've added a few new regions. If you look really closely, there's, I believe, by my count, there are 4 new regions mentioned on this map. 4 new regions. So you've got Enedwaith. I think that's how you say that. And then you've got Minhiriath. And then you've got, and this one's kind of small. I don't know if I can read this. It's I'm just going to go over here. Well, the one on the north. So the one on the north side is Forlindan. All right. And then the south one is it's Harlindan. That's what it is. Okay. Harlindan, Forlindan, and Harlindan. So they are giving names that we're not necessarily very familiar with, right? Because these weren't particularly important places in the Lord of the Rings or in the Hobbit. Okay. So again, I think this is meant to give us some kind of a sense of, these places are going to end up being important places. Mm-hmm. This is just, who knows at this point, but this is, if they're trying to kind of tease us, right?
Yeah.
Then that's what this would indicate, in my professional opinion. So.
Okay.
Right on.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Any questions?
No. Mm-mm.
All right. Great first episode of The Lord of the Rings on Prime. On Twitter. On the Tolkien Road. Or Lot Ron Prime.
Oh man, you're really getting the mileage out of this one.
Closing out the segment. So, yeah. Good segment, Greta.
Yeah.
Good first Lot Ron Prime segment.
That was. I'm gonna have to warm up to that one.
Okay.
And figure out my role. I'm not a good map reader.
Well, I kind of sprung it on you.
You did.
That was wrong of me.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, good. Moving on then.
Yeah, moving on.
All right, so let's talk about, what are we talking about today?
We're talking about flies and spiders.
Oh my gosh.
I know you hate spiders.
Hate spiders so much. If so, you know what I really hate?
What?
I really hate when you're on some website and maybe it's like a news website or something like that, and they're like, they have some like news story about like a giant, like a big spider or something like that. Like, oh, this person found this big spider in their house or something like that.
And then they have a ginormous picture of it.
And you're like, oh my God. Like, that's how I react. I jump back from my computer, it just. Yeah,
you have visceral reactions.
I have a fight or flight reaction to large spiders. So, I actually come into my studio sometimes and there's I think there's this one spider that just lives in here and he'll be like walking around like eating Cheetos and like. He'll see me and he'll be like, "Oh crap!" and he'll like run away and So he's more afraid of me than I am. He's not a tiny spider. He's kind of a big juicy spider, but he's scared of me. So that's good. Greta's like looking around now to make sure it's not coming for her. It always hangs out right at that, like right in front of the door. If I haven't been in here for a couple of days, then I'll like open it and it'll be like, huh? Oh, like run away. So.
Maybe he's trying to get out.
I've tried to help him out, but like a little spider will like run under. Because the weird thing about me is I don't kill spiders, even though I hate them.
Yeah. Well, that's because you don't like to hear their guts crunch.
That's true, but also I just feel kind of bad because I'm like I hate, I hate other bugs more.
Yes.
And I'm like, and they kill other bugs.
Right. Exactly. So they can be very helpful.
They play their role, and most of them are not bad. But I was on a news site yesterday, and they did that to me, right? I think it should be illegal. Like, honestly, I think you should be able to like sue people for doing that, right? Like if you're, making you look at a big picture of a spider without warning. But I was on this website and they had a big picture and it was like the news story is like a terrifying image of, giant, spider dragging a possum through the Amazon forest, right? And it was like a picture. So I guess they'd had a camera set up or something like that in like some spot in the Amazon, and it like caught this on camera, right? So it was like it was huge. This spider was humongous.
Well, it must have been if it was dragging a possum.
I'm just
That's
like
insane.
Yeah. So that was disgusting and horrible, and I wish I could sue somebody for that because I think I've got some PTSD going on after that.
Yikes.
But yeah, I hate spiders, and this chapter doesn't make me like them anymore.
No.
Flies and spiders. So here's the thing though, because I know this one was a long chapter, and I think this is the longest chapter in the book, I think it's all downhill from here in terms of length of chapter.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of cool.
Interesting.
Because I like I like like a 10-pager.
Yeah, just a quick.
With a lot of good stuff going on that you can talk about. This one's a lot of like journeying through the forest.
Yeah.
So.
Not a whole lot. I mean, a little bit of excitement, but not a ton.
Yeah. So let's talk about it. So we got the forest, right? They enter Mirkwood. Mm-hmm. They have just entered Mirkwood. And the first thing I starred was the black squirrels, because I remember that we made a big deal about the black squirrels.
Did.
Shout out to Matt Scarrence. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
Good old Matt.
I do remember Matt.
One of our patrons.
Yes.
And he sent us a picture of a black squirrel because I think it came up when we were talking about the Old Forest. It was either the Old Forest or it was Fangorn and Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
So
yeah,
Tolkien likes mentioning black squirrels apparently. So
they're pretty rare, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I think albino are pretty rare too, but black squirrels seem much more appropriate for Mirkwood.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like Tolkien seems to have a thing for black squirrels. So he wants to call them out whenever they're in a forest. So I just thought it was worth mentioning.
Yeah,
I started.
I agree.
So I will tell you that if I entered a forest and I saw like giant cobwebs everywhere, like all around me, I would be like, I'm not going any further in this forest. I would turn around and be like, I'm not dealing with spiders that you could make these cobwebs that are like as large as my hand potentially, or maybe larger, right?
They don't see the cobwebs at the very beginning, do they?
It says the nastiest things they saw were the cobwebs, dark, dense cobwebs with threads extraordinarily thick, often stretched from tree to tree or tangled in the lower branches on either side of them. I'm just like, if these are spiders that can go from tree to tree, string webs from tree to tree, I'm like, I don't want to deal with these spiders.
No, thank you.
So I don't want to run into one of their webs accidentally and like have a big spider in my face,
Right. No,
Nope.
I hear you.
Nope.
Not for me either.
So, yeah. So this place is dark. It's like densely dark, dense forest, and there are times when they can barely see anything. At night, it was pitch dark.
Yep.
Right. Have you ever experienced pitch darkness?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Have you?
I have. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was your
Where
experience
was mine? I'm kind of fuzzy on the details. I do remember.
By the way, I define pitch darkness as like you can't, if you wave your hand in front of your own
Right,
face,
you
you
can't
can't see it.
it.
You can't even see it moving.
I think it was would have been a cave.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
I think it was a cave. And I don't know where I've been to a lot of caves in my life.
Cave's a good guess as to what it was.
I think it was. when we were in the Smokies.
Mm.
We toured a cave. And I remember, it was lit most of the time, but at one point of the tour, they turned out all the lights. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that now.
Yeah, we were on the edge of this abyss.
Holding on, holding on to the kids who were
Yes.
really little at that time.
Yes.
Like, do not move away from me and make me panic, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we were kind of on this edge of a drop off. And they turned off the lights at one point and told you to put your hand in front of your face.
Yeah.
And you couldn't see it.
Right.
How about you? Did you have a different one?
Well, I guess there was that, but I think there was a time back when I was in the Navy, and we were out at sea, and I think I feel like this seems weird to me, but I feel like I was actually on a sailing craft and doing training, and I want to say we were off the coast of New Jersey or something like that, but kind of far out off the coast,
yeah,
and I think there was fog. It was nighttime and there was fog that came around us. So yeah, it was you couldn't, there was no light penetrating, no moonlight, no starlight, nothing that could penetrate that. No bioluminescence, nothing. The weird thing to me about that is it feels like there should have been, we would have had at least a, some running lights on or something like that.
Yeah.
But that's my that's what I remember. So maybe we didn't, because it was a sailing craft. So maybe we didn't have our running lights on and it was in the fog. So maybe we didn't for that reason. I don't know, but
weird.
Or maybe we had anchored or something I don't know. It's weird, but that's what I remember. Okay. But it may have been some other time. But I definitely know I've experienced before. And I think it was somehow at sea that I experienced it.
Yeah,
where it's just no ability to see
and
anything.
especially too when you're at sea, you don't have the benefit of land
right.
or any kind of light from land, and
and
if it's foggy, you can't see the moon, and so that's not reflecting off the water.
Right.
Yeah. You get dark out at sea.
Yes, it can be very disorienting too. To just be in pitch black and not be able to see your own hand move.
Yes.
Or see anybody else or any outlines of anything.
Very unsettling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's pitch blackness for you. But the most horrible thing about this is that sometimes in the pitch black he sees a little bit of light, but it's these horrible bulbous red eyes.
Yeah.
Like
insect eyes.
Yeah.
Well, he says insect eyes, he thought.
Yeah.
Not animal eyes, only they are much too big. So does that mean they're just big insect eyes? They look like animal eyes.
Yeah.
That are on an insect.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So
they're disproportionate.
He's they look like insect eyes, but they're big. They're bigger than any insect eyes I've ever seen.
Okay.
So
yeah,
that's what he's saying.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right. So they're kind of making their way through Mirkwood, having a rough go of it.
They're hungry and thirsty.
And they come upon a stream.
A black stream.
And they don't know how they're going to cross the stream because they're we're not getting in the water. I think they were explicitly told. Weren't they told not to go in the water?
Yeah, Bjorn told them.
Yeah.
Bjorn, yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So they see this boat across the way, and they somehow, through some different trial and error, trying some different things, they managed to get this boat pulled across to them.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And so they start making their way across. And poor old Bomber, of course.
Bomber.
But I feel like...
More fat jokes.
Yeah, seriously. It's Bomber... I thought last chapter was like they were kind of mean to Bomber. This one was like,
what did Bomber ever
poor
do,
Bomber,
man?
You know? Poor Bomber. They just pick on him all the time.
You should not be so fat.
Yeah, right. Like, sorry. But yeah, so I think Bomber falls in, right? They see this flying deer come across and they shoot.
What is up with that flying deer?
Yeah, I didn't know if they meant like he kind of like jumped high and so he looked like he was flying, or if this like deer actually had wings. Like,
I don't know that whole thing.
I can't imagine. I feel like it would have been a bigger deal if the deer had wings, or it was like some kind of unicorn deer or something like that.
I mean, it's implied that it's dangerous, right?
Yeah.
Because why would they shoot it otherwise unless it just startled them and they thought that they could get meat from it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole instance kind of flummoxed me.
Yeah, it's almost like they're not thinking straight, you know?
Yeah.
But had they lost their food at this point?
They're very low.
Yeah, they're getting very low. So that's probably what they're thinking is they're like, we need to get something to eat.
I had kind of, and I don't know why, but when I was reading this, I had the mental image that popped into my head, I'm now realizing was from Harry Potter. The Patronus. Mm-hmm. I forget whose, but somebody had like a white deer or something as a Patronus.
Yeah, Harry did.
Oh, was that Harry's?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's what I pictured in my head.
Yeah.
And I was like, why would you shoot a Patronus? And I was like, oh, wait. Wrong universe. Sorry. I didn't realize you could shoot it. You can't even shoot a Patronus. Can you?
Well, I don't know.
Anyway, sorry, I'm getting us off track.
I'm not enough of a Harry Potter nerd to know.
I didn't even, I just didn't understand this.
Yeah.
It seems to be, it almost seems like it's put in there to get Bomber in the water.
Yeah.
It's like the startling event.
Mm-hmm.
That makes Bomber fall off the boat.
Right, yeah. Speaking of the boat, it's interesting to me to think about where this boat came from, because it's just this random boat that's there.
Yeah. Yeah, it is bizarre.
Did you think about that at all?
A little bit. Yeah. I did kind of wonder where, who might have put it there, where it came from.
I feel like we got some listeners that I'm going to be like, I don't know where this thing came from. But we've got some listeners who might be like, oh, didn't you pick up on this little textual clue, like later on, or,
I would love for them to let us know
if
they know.
If we're missing out on that, let me know. I'm also looking at the map here and trying to think so it looks like this is on the map in the back. This is the Enchanted River. I imagine this boat has to be something that belongs to the elves, because
that's what I was wondering.
We know the elves are like kind of all throughout this part of the forest, and this is the elf path. But it's interesting to me to think like, what was the elf method for getting the boat back to them if they needed to? If they were on the other side, or maybe they weren't on the other side, and that's why it was on.
Maybe they're just going one way,
far side.
So they didn't need to get it back.
Well, yeah, my point is like maybe because we know as we find out later, their home is on the other side. Right.
Oh, yes. Okay.
So maybe they're just not over on this side right now.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
that makes sense.
That's my best guess. But if somebody else has any brilliant insights they want to share with us there as to where the boat came from, let us know. You know what? I'm going to look in my annotated Hobbit here and see if there's any guesses.
That's smart.
Yeah.
That's very smart.
I know. That's why I thought of it. Let's see here. Boat. Where is the boat?
No, they have not been in the forest that long at this point, have they?
Well, they'd already been there through one night at least,
right?
Been
okay.
Because they talked about it at night.
Seems like a long way to drag a boat.
Well, if you look at the map, it's actually they're like almost like they're over halfway through when they get to this point. They're over halfway through the forest when they get to this point.
Okay.
So they've been in there for a couple of days, I think, at least. Yeah. The boat. Here we go. No notes on the boat.
Oh.
No boat notes.
Well, at least you looked.
I did. I gave
tried.
Gave it the old college try.
Yeah, I think elves is probably our best guess.
Mm-hmm.
That makes the most sense to me.
Well, this is interesting. An enchanted stream is a familiar motif in Celtic legends. In a similar episode in the Irish accounts of the life of St. Brendan, Brendan and his brethren land on an island and find a stream from which all save Brendan drink. Those who have drunk the water fall into fits of sleep and torpor, with those who have drunk the most suffering the longest. Sometime around 1945, Tolkien wrote a poem about St. Brendan, who before his death contemplates the most memorable events of his many voyages. Tolkien called the poem The Death of St. Brendan, and it is part of his unfinished future history of an imaginary Oxford literary club, the Notion Club Papers. About 10 years later, he revised the poem and retitled it Imram, which is Irish for sailing, voyaging. So that's cool. So it's in Sauron Defeated, part of the history of Middle-earth.
Oh,
Interesting
cool.
note there.
That is very interesting.
I kind of want to read that. That may be a good one to discuss
in
the future.
Yeah, St. Brendan's cool.
Yeah, man, we got so much more Tolkien to read in this, in this life. This show could keep going for years. Especially if you guys give to Patreon, patreon.com/TolkienRoad.
You need to stop.
Why?
Because you're on a rabbit trail.
Oh, okay.
All right. Moving on.
Oh, you said moving on, so I assume you're leaving.
So we're
now.
moving on. I was just trying to get you to move on.
Oh, okay. I see how it is.
Bomber falls in the water.
Yeah.
And he goes into a sleep. And now they have to carry him.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? They have they're tired, they're hungry, they're thirsty, and it takes 4 of them to carry Bomber. Of all the people that could have fallen in the water and gone into a deep coma-like sleep, it had to be Bomber. I just felt really sorry for them. Because I had to carry a 2-year-old down to the nursery yesterday, and it wasn't even that far, and I was in pain by the time I got there.
Ouch.
Yes. And that was, like I said, that wasn't even a quarter of a mile, probably.
Yeah.
And now they have to carry Bomber through a scary forest with hardly any food in their bellies.
Poor dwarves.
I need to stop before I start crying.
I know, it's tragic. It feels tragic.
It is. It's really, really sad. But I think it's awesome that they don't just leave him. Because I think I would have been very tempted to leave him. And been like, he'll find us.
I could totally see you leaving him.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Always looking out for number 1. That's me.
That's the Greta I know. Let me tell you, people. All right.
Lies.
Yeah. Oh, or do I? Yeah, so poor Bomber, and but they're just they're over it, and they're like, we need to find out where we are. How much longer do we have? So they tell Bilbo to climb the tree, right? Because they're all too big. They're too heavy to climb trees. Bilbo is small and nimble enough to be able to pull this off. So Bilbo climbs up to the tops of the trees, and I think this is a pretty cool, mental image. Is he comes up and his head above the sea of trees, sea of treetops. And it's interesting because we learn that they're not too far from the end of the forest, but from what he sees, it still looks like it's just endless forest in front of them.
Right, because he has no perspective. He doesn't know the landscape.
They're apparently they're down in the valley, right? Because they're crossing this. They just crossed this stream,
right? So everything's they're at the lowest point.
Yeah.
So everything's gonna look higher.
Right.
So that's unfortunate that he didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. Most definitely.
But he got a nice breeze on his face.
Yeah.
And some sunshine.
That is nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can sympathize. It strikes me that I can sympathize with him here because he's the guy that got to come up for the look and kind of see the sunshine. Mm-hmm. This was when I was on submarines, and I was an officer, so I was one of the guys that got to look out the periscope. Right? So everybody else is underwater and doesn't get to see sunshine, and I get a little glimpse. I'm like Bilbo here. I was like Bilbo here because I get to stick my, not literally stick my head up, but I got to at least look out and see.
Right. Remind yourself
daylight,
that there is light above you. Yeah.
So I don't know, just kind of a funny little,
cool.
little aside there.
Yeah.
In my mind.
Absolutely.
All right. So, just like the squirrels were black, the butterflies are black here too.
Yes. Yeah.
So everything in the forest, all the creatures in the forest are apparently not very colorful, but black.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Black like the darkness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. So, kind of scooching along here, they're moving through the forest. And what do we got next? They keep on stumbling upon the elves. So they keep on stumbling.
Bomber wakes up.
Yeah.
Right? And he tells them about this dream.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has this dream of a feast.
Mm-hmm.
And
Of course.
I mean, they're starving. When you're starving, you're going to dream about food, and it's Bomber too. So
What are you saying?
Nothing. He enjoys food. We all enjoy food. I enjoy food.
I enjoy food. I would probably dream about food if I was any of them right now.
Yes, he says, so Bomber says, I was having such beautiful dreams. I dreamed I was walking in a forest, rather like this one, only lit with torches, and on the trees and lamps swinging from the branches and fires burning on the ground. And there was a great feast going on forever. A woodland king was there with a crown of leaves, and there was a merry singing, and I could not count or describe the things there were to eat and drink. And they all tell him to shut up. He's not helping matters.
Mm-hmm.
He just needs to, suck it up and travel along. So then they see fire in the distance.
Yeah.
And they're like, they try to, they remember their warning to stay on the path.
Right. And
they try really hard to resist, but they can't. They fall in to the, they go into the circle of the feasting.
Yeah,
and
totally.
That's when their troubles begin.
Trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
yeah, Coldplay. No, that's okay. So yeah, this whole thing. I know it gets explained later, but it's peculiar.
Yeah. Well, anyway, yeah. So they keep on trying to get the elves' attention.
Mm-hmm.
But the elves apparently think they're trying to attack them, and so they immediately put out the fires and run off, and the dwarves are all in darkness again.
I thought it was some kind of magic, mirage.
Well, I think there is some, maybe, but there is
not a mirage.
There's some kind of there is some kind of magic at play. We get it. It alludes to that later on.
Yeah. Right. Right. But I didn't even realize. I didn't even think that it was real people. I thought they were imagining it all. Because
it's some kind of trap.
Yeah. Yeah. Or what's that word? It's a they were hallucinating.
Mm-hmm.
How when you're really, really thirsty in the desert and you see a mirage, right?
Yeah.
I kind of thought that's what this was. I really didn't think it was. I thought it was some kind of dark sorcerer's magic.
Mm-hmm.
So I was surprised when I found out that's
not what it was. Let's follow this. So Bomber falls into the stream and falls asleep, and he wakes up and he's like, I had a dream about this feast with this woodland king and everything.
Right.
And then they start seeing these people. So I don't know, maybe
because all the ideas in their head, right?
And it's called, this is called the Enchanted Stream. And
yeah, that's true.
In the map.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's curious.
Party on.
Yeah. Party on.
All right.
But they can't because the elves keep disappearing.
Right.
Well, what we come to know is the elves.
Yes.
Right? We don't know that they're elves right now. Do we?
We shall come to know that they are elves.
Right. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah.
Yeah. So they find themselves, after this happens, in a bunch of darkness. It's really dark again. And they can't find each other. They're calling each other's names, but they can't find each other. And Bilbo just kind of sits down eventually and just lets the darkness and the silence engulf him. His mind wanders, and the next thing he knows, he feels something messing with him. It says he was deep in thoughts of bacon and eggs and toast and butter when he felt something touch him. Uh-oh. Something like a strong, sticky string was against his left hand, and when he tried to move, he found that his legs were already wrapped in the same stuff, so that when he got up, he fell over. It's interesting. I almost wonder if, it doesn't ever say this, but I wonder if there's, some kind of, did the elves enchant them, and then, they considered them enemies, so they were trying to make it so the spiders would catch them, or...
Yeah, I was wondering that.
Or did the spiders have some kind of magic that they were using to enchant them so they get them to, lie still and then trap them, Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very odd.
I mean, that might be, because, the spiders were... These spiders are all... the giant spiders are all descendant from... Ungoliant originally.
Right.
And she was obviously a very powerful, almost I don't know that it ever says anywhere 100% that she was, but she was like a Maya.
Right.
Um,
Right. So I guess that is a
been.
possibility.
Yeah.
But later in the chapter, we find out that, like the elves saw them.
Yeah.
That's why they kept disappearing, because they thought
Right.
that the company was trying to attack them.
Mm-hmm.
So they were real and they were there, and they felt threatened.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I have a hard time believing that any kind of elf would be in league with evil spiders.
Well, don't you remember like Aol or Maglin? Right, the dark elf from the Silmarillion.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But you know,
he could be a real Aol.
He could. That's true. But you know what Tolkien says in here?
What?
When he's describing the Wood Elves and gives a little bit of their history. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead just a tiny bit, but we'll come back.
Yeah.
When he's talking about who the Wood Elves are and where they came from, he goes through all this stuff, and then he's like, "But they are elves, nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
So still elves they were and remain. That is good people."
Well, there you go.
Capital G, capital P. Good people.
The good people.
Good people.
All right, well,
so I have a hard time believing that they would be in league with the spiders, because Tolkien himself says they're good people.
Well, yeah, and I think most elves are.
Yep. But you're right. I mean, that case could be made.
Yeah.
Well,
so Bilbo, basically like comes to and realizes that there's this giant spider that's trying to put him in a web. At which point I would be like, "What?" But he keeps his head about him.
He does. Yeah. I'm very proud of Bilbo.
Kills the spider.
Kills it.
He kills it. Yeah.
With his sword.
With his sting.
In the eyes.
That's right.
And that's where Sting gets its name.
And so he kills it and he dubs it. Yeah, he says, "I shall call you Sting."
Mm-hmm.
Right. The spider says, does the spider say that?
No, he hasn't heard him talk.
Okay.
Yet.
Yeah. And he goes looking for his companions, and he's slipped on the ring at this point. But I have here a little note from way back when I did this book with some students of mine, and it says, compare with Silmarillion 74. So this is the part in The Hobbit where it says he had picked his way stealthily for some distance when he noticed a place of dense black shadow ahead of him, black even for that forest, like a patch of midnight that had never been cleared away. As he drew nearer, he saw that it was made by spiderwebs, one behind and over and tangled with another. Suddenly he saw, too, that there were spiders huge and horrible sitting in the branches above him, and ring or no ring, he trembled with fear lest they should discover him. So this is interesting because it sounds very similar to the passage about Shelob, about like Shelob's lair, right? About like the no light being able to escape, like it's so dark, like it's just kind of like this black hole of darkness.
Yeah.
And then it's similar to the description of Ungoliant and her webs in the Silmarillion. So it says there, a cloak of darkness she wove about them when Melkor and Ungoliant set forth, an unlight in which things seemed to be no more, and which eyes could not pierce, for it was void. Then slowly she wrought her webs, rope by rope, from cleft to cleft, from jutting rock to pinnacle of stone, ever climbing upwards, crawling and clinging, until at last she climbed the very summit of Hiarmentir. So, yeah, that kind of, you have in The Hobbit even like this very subtle allusion to that these are not just like webs of like normal spiders' webs. These are like
supernatural.
There's some kind of magic, supernatural thing going on here with these webs.
Yeah.
So
makes them extra
these
scary.
Are no mere spiders, no mere giant spiders. Even just they seem to be the descendants of Ungoliant. Indeed.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now following that pleasant thought.
Yes. Right.
So Bilbo sees the dwarves, and they're all hanging, like,
Yeah, let me ask a quick question? So it says that he can now hear them, like they're talking.
Yeah.
The spiders are talking to each other, and he can understand them.
Yeah.
Now, is this because he's wearing the ring?
That's the best I can figure out from it.
That's what I thought too, but then later he takes off the ring, and it seems that he can still understand them.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, so I was a little, it doesn't come right out and say that he understood them, but it has the spider talking. So I would assume that that's, that means he could understand them, but maybe not. But I was just surprised that Bilbo could understand the spiders. Because
Yeah.
he couldn't understand the wolves.
Maybe a little perspective overlap there. The third person omniscient is saying like this is what maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
The narrator saying it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting question, but I assumed it was he could understand because of the ring.
Because of the ring. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes the most sense to me.
Yeah.
But that's how he discovers the dwarves.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're hanging up in the tree.
Right.
And he only discovers them after he hears the spiders talking about them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, and all these spiders are they're especially poking at old Bomber again, right? Bomber, just can't catch a break this chapter. To the fattest of these bundles, the spider went. It is poor old Bomber, I'll bet, thought Bilbo, and nipped hard at the nose that stuck out. There was a muffled yelp inside, and a toe shot up and kicked the spider straight and hard. There was life in Bomber still. I like that he kicks the spider.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Bilbo apparently is skilled at throwing stones.
Yes.
So
yeah, he's a good stone flinger.
So smart of Bilbo, he uses his noggin here, some tactics, right? He's like, well, I can't take on all these spiders at once, probably, but I can at least get them away, draw them away from the dwarves,
right?
And then because I'm invisible, I can circle back and get all the dwarves out, and we can maybe have a fighting chance.
It's very brave of Bilbo.
Yeah,
really brave.
And then we have one of the all-time greatest moments, I think, in the history of all Middle Earth, which is the Old Fat Spider song of Bilbo.
You know it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Old fat spider spinning in a tree. Old fat spider can't see me.
Attercop,
Attercop, won't you stop your spinning and look for me? Yeah. Old Tom Noddy, all big body. Oh, yeah. You don't want to be called Tom Noddy, right? Because it says right here, quite apart from the stones, no spider has ever liked being called Attercop. And Tom Noddy, of course, is insulting to anybody.
I learned something new today.
Right. That's why I was calling you Tom Noddy at the beginning.
Because it's insulting.
Tom Noddy is insulting to anybody.
Bad on me for not being insulted.
Yeah. Well,
I just think it sounds funny.
It's a very British child.
It is. That's true.
Insult.
That's true.
Old school British child insult. Who knows what those British children call each other these days? I just don't even want to think about it. But interesting. Attercop is from Old English. Attercopa, Middle English, Attercope, spider. So it's the Old and Middle English word for spider. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think it literally means, I think I looked this up when I think it literally means poison cup. Right?
So it's kind of like a slur.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is why the spiders wouldn't have liked being called that.
Or poison head, right? So this was in Old English Attercop, a spider from Attor, poison, and Kappa, which probably means head. The old idea being that spiders were poisonous insects. And then Tom Noddy is a foolish or stupid person, according to the Oxford English Dictionary. Yeah.
Well, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
I like being called stupid and foolish.
Yeah.
So
old Tom Noddy. Well, nobody likes being called Tom Noddy.
Well, I don't mind it.
What part of that don't you understand?
I'm just being belligerent. Maybe I'm being foolish
and
not
repeat.
Being
and Tom Noddy, of course, is insulting to anybody.
I know.
Yeah. So
okay,
this is the classic example of insult to injury, right? He doesn't just throw stones at them. He calls them Attercop and Tom Noddy. Yeah.
Well, no wonder they got so mad.
I don't think my invectives against these spiders would be so graceful.
You think you would have some more colorful language to share?
I think so. I could give some examples.
No, keep it
but
cheap.
we might need to change the rating of this episode to explicit.
Let's keep it family friendly. It's pretty. Okay. What I think is this where it says? Oh yeah, it talks about the song. It says not very good, perhaps, but then you must remember that he had to make it up himself on the spur of a very awkward moment. So I think, considering the circumstance, I think he did darn good.
I like to think of Bilbo going back and thinking about the song and be like, oh, that was a stupid song. I could have done much better.
I could have done so much better. Don't you feel like that sometimes? Like if you get in a heated argument with someone or and they'll call you something, they'll be like, well, you're up. and then you just walk away because you can't think of anything. And then afterwards, you're like, oh, I should have said this. Oh, I should have said that.
All the time. All the time. Like, I am a, before I send like an email of importance, I have to like think about it and like edit it and all this kind of stuff. Just so I'm like, I don't look back and I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have said that, or I should have said this,
Mm-hmm.
I just like completely overthink it.
Yeah.
Totally.
But I feel like I've often, I think of, especially when somebody makes me angry and I want a good comeback, I can never think of a good comeback like on my feet right then and there. Yeah. I always think of it after, when it's too late.
Right.
So, I mean, Bilbo may have done better had he been given, more time, or looking back, he may be disappointed in his performance, but I think he did great.
Well, good.
All things considered.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, we do have, a little more of the song. Lazy lob and crazy cob are weaving webs to wind me. I am far more sweet than other meat, but still they cannot find me. Here am I, naughty little fly. You are fat and lazy. You cannot trap me, though you try, and your cobweb's crazy. So
crazy
that'll
cobwebs.
That'll show him.
You know it.
So, so Bilbo manages to kind of go through the process and start getting. He's able to draw most of the spiders away. Gets back, finds one big fat spider guarding all the dwarves,
right,
and kills that spider, and then starts to get all the rest of the dwarves free.
Yep.
And then the battle began. Some of the dwarves had knives and some had sticks, and all of them could get at stones. And Bilbo had his elvish dagger. Again and again the spiders were beaten off, and many of them were killed. But it could not go on for long. Bilbo was nearly tired out. Only 4 of the dwarves were able to stand firmly, and soon they would all be overpowered like weary flies. Already the spiders were beginning to weave their webs all round them again, from tree to tree. So, there you go.
Yeah.
The battle begins.
The battle.
And so, this is, there's a lot of fighting going on. Lots of shouts of lazy lob and addercop, right? That lazy lob will really get you, right? And Bilbo's really holding his own. Like, this is a really important thing for Bilbo, I think, because, last time they were in a mess, right? Where where it was kind of his responsibility to try to save them. He failed, right? Or
you talking about the trolls?
The trolls, when he goes there and he gets caught, and they all end up getting caught because it kind of Bilbo set things in motion, right? Accidentally, right?
Right.
And so he was almost responsible for them all getting killed then. And this time, he's responsible for
saving all
them,
of them,
right?
Yeah,
he really is. So this is a huge moment for old Bilbo.
Yeah, it really is. And it's also where the dwarves find out about the ring.
Yeah.
Because he has to explain to them later how he managed to disappear.
Yeah. This is important, but before we get there, though, just before we get there, all the spiders run away at some point, like kind of randomly, and they're thinking about why, and then they realize that it's because they've come up upon where the elves were in the first place. So there must have been some kind of good magic that the spiders didn't like,
where the elves had been.
Yeah.
So that kind of proves that they weren't working together.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Just the dwarves then noticed that they had come to the edge of a ring where elf fires had been. Whether it was one of those they had seen the night before, they could not tell, but it seemed that some good magic lingered in such spots, which the spiders did not like. So, there you go.
Yeah. So they are, so they're saved. And I thought this was cool. So when Bilbo starts to tell them about the ring, it seems that they're very impressed, obviously,
right,
with how he came to it, and all those things. And it says when Bilbo is talking to them about the ring, it says these questions the dwarves asked over and over again, and it was from little Bilbo that they seemed to expect to get the answers. From which you can see that they had changed their opinion of Mr. Baggins very much and had begun to have a great respect for him, as Gandalf had said they would. So yeah, I think this is a real turning point, not just for Bilbo, but also in the way the dwarves perceive him.
Yeah.
I feel like Bilbo has finally earned their respect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good on you, Bilbo.
Indeed.
Nicely done.
Yep.
So, yeah, they're kind of able to sit and relax and, take a load off, and Bilbo tells them how he got the ring and everything like that, and Balin is really interested in this story. I feel like Balin, like, I was kind of surprised how fixated on Gollum he was. Like, it's almost like the way it reads, it almost feels like Balin like knew who Gollum was or had some idea that Gollum, right, where he says Gollum, well, I'm blessed, so that's how he sneaked past me, is it? Now I know. Just crept quietly along, did you, Mr. Baggins? Buttons all over the doorstep. So it's weird because I feel like it almost alludes to that Balin somehow knew Gollum, but maybe not. I don't know. It just when I read it, it felt a little bit like that to me.
Yeah. I felt like maybe it was kind of it was a relief to Balin, like because maybe he probably felt really guilty about letting the team down.
Yeah.
By not standing a good enough watch,
That's true.
And now he's like, oh, okay, it wasn't my fault after all. It was the sneaky rings. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like I feel like maybe it relieved him of some guilt or, feeling like he had let his friends down. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well,
then they discover that Thorin's not with them.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
And it turns out Thorin has been captured by the elves.
Right, by the Wood Elves.
And we get a little bit of a story. We get a little bit of a kind of a background on the Wood Elves. And so just so everybody knows, to correlate this to the Silmarillion, these are the Sindarin elves, right?
Mm-hmm.
So these are elves that never actually made the journey to the Blessed Realm,
right,
to Valinor, back in the Age of the Trees. Okay, but then it refers to the Light Elves and the Deep Elves and the Sea Elves. So those are the Vanyar, the Noldor, and the Teleri, right?
Okay. Yep.
So if you want to know more about those things, go back and listen to our episodes on the Silmarillion, and you'll learn all kinds of things about the Light Elves and the Deep Elves and the Sea Elves, and about the Wood Elves too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
good stuff.
Indeed. So, and actually, gosh, is it right that the Wood Elves are the Sindarin? Because I'm trying to think if these are actually. I got to look at this. Got to look this up because I want to make sure I got this right. Let's see here.
And so, did the Wood Elves take Thorin just because they don't like dwarves, and they just assumed he was up to no good?
I think so. That seems to be.
Well, I thought it was really cool, though.
Okay, yeah, these are Sindarin. Yeah, these are Sindarin elves. Yeah, and remember, Thranduil is the father of Legolas. So the Wood Elf king here.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay, cool.
Which, of course, they flesh out in Peter Jackson's movie adaptation of this, and Legolas is actually in that movie, but he's not, and he's nowhere mentioned in here.
Right.
So
yeah. Well, it's nice that these Wood Elves fed Thorin.
Yeah, but Thorin will not tell them anything other than just, his answer to everything is because we were starving. And then they get to, why were we in the forest in the first place? And he's like, I'm not answering anymore.
Right.
And so he gets thrown in jail.
I plead the fifth.
That's right.
Well, I thought this was cool. It says that, we're talking about the Wood Elves. It said the Wood Elves were not goblins and were reasonably well behaved, even to their worst enemies when they captured them.
Yeah.
The giant spiders were the only living thing that they had no mercy upon.
There you go. They're not fans of spiders.
No. I like them already.
Yeah, seriously. You know what's funny? They eventually we're going to watch the animated version of The Hobbit that came out years ago.
Okay.
Like when you and I were little kids, or maybe even before we were born. And the Wood Elves in that movie.
Creepy.
Have we watched it before?
Yes.
Okay, so you remember, like they look like mean humanoid frogs.
Yes.
It's really weird.
They're worse than munchkins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they totally messed that up in terms of like those are not like, I don't even know what you're doing here.
They're good people.
That's right. They're good people.
And Tolkien says so.
Well, people, they're
and
good
he capitalized the G and he capitalized the P. These are good people.
Good people.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anything else, Greta?
No, I think that's a wrap.
Okay, well, it's not a wrap yet.
Oh, it's not?
No, because we got to do haiku and do correspondence. Did you write a haiku?
Right, I did.
Okay, good. Well, let's do haiku.
Okay, let's do that.
Because I think you're in kind of a hurry, so we'll do this. All right.
I'm not trying to sound like I'm in a hurry. I just got things to do. Don't we all?
Yes.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 syllables in haiku.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 syllables in haiku.
Alrighty.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Little rock, paper, scissors action.
Let's do it.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. I don't even know what I'm
What is that? That was like a half thumbs up.
I was distracted. I was trying to do too many things at once. Back in when I played it when I was a kid, you had you could do a grenade. That was like a special one you throw in there.
That's totally cheating.
Well,
because a grenade trumps all.
But we were like elementary school kids.
So why wouldn't you just throw a grenade the whole time? Well, I guess if you threw a grenade and your other person...
But you can... With scissors, you can chop the top of the grenade off.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it only beats rock and paper?
I think so.
Okay. Well, we're not doing grenade.
All right. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Wait.
Ladies and gentlemen, Greta wins again with the rock versus scissors.
I'm on a roll.
You are.
All right. I guess I'll go first.
Okay.
All right. Spiders' webs ensnare enchanted dwarves. Bilbo's sting to the rescue.
Nice. Thanks. Well done.
I agree.
Here's mine.
Okay.
I hope that I am never in a dark forest with giant spiders.
Deep.
Yes.
Real deep.
Straightforward.
Good. Yeah. It's good. I dig it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And let's see. We got any correspondence to mention here? Well, we have had a little bit of correspondence in the process of people patronizing us.
Right.
So good.
Right. Yeah. That's awesome.
Some nice notes from some folks. Always good to hear from people. David Bigwood, one of our patrons, he sent me an email that says, "Don't leave the path." And so he said, "You mentioned a couple of times the advice of Gandalf and Beorn to not leave the path. Are you setting us up? Because if they didn't leave the path, they would have died. We later learned that the path no longer goes all the way through, but ends up in pathless marshes. Since they were near to starving already, this would have been the end. Only by leaving the path and being imprisoned by the elves did they get some food and drink, and in time continue their journey." So to answer your question, David, no, I would like to say that we were just brilliant enough to be setting everybody up, but it was more like we were just kind of like finishing up the last chapter where, it's like Gandalf is like, "Don't leave the path," right? Don't leave the path. How many times did he or Beorn say that to them?
A lot.
And we weren't really thinking that far ahead. And to be honest, it's been a while since I've actually read The Hobbit.
Yeah.
So I didn't entirely think, I didn't entirely remember the bit about like it not being like an ending in a dead end.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, he says at the very end, "Don't leave the path."
I'd forgotten that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, David knows his stuff.
He does.
I'm always like, if I'm wondering about something, I wonder what David Bigwood thinks about that, because he knows his stuff.
Yeah.
There's been a couple of times when he sent notes about things, because if I recall, David has been a fan, like he's been a fan of Lord of the Rings, like of Tolkien since like before we were born.
Yeah.
Right. So, he's old school like that. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Totally. But yeah, I had some, just nice notes on Facebook, and then Nicole Stallworth, who's been a listener for a long time on Twitter, called me a Tolkienologist, I think, or Tolkien.
Well, there you go.
A Tolkien scholar or something like that, and I thought that was cool because she lumped me with all these people who are a lot smarter and everything than I am. So I was like, that's cool. And then everybody else had answers for her, so I didn't bother. But thanks, Nicole, for calling me that.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
That's a little ego boost.
I'm kind of blushing over here.
You actually are.
So let's see. There's that, and Sorry, just give me this. Like, hurry up. And then go listen to my interview on Living Real Radio, another podcast that's actually done by our parish, some people at our parish. And it's about Tolkien and spirituality. So go check that one out. And then we got to go because Greta's making me end it.
Oh, yeah. That's how I roll. I am a Tom Noddy, after all.
You are a Tom Noddy. Thanks to, let's see here. Thanks again to our patrons. Y'all rock.
Mm-hmm.
Al Taylor, Brian Orr, Chris Loftus, Chuck Farnung, David Bigwood, David Dickinson, Emilio Perea, Eric Bissett, James Applegate, James Lindberg, Josh Sosa, Margaret Lyon, Matt Scarrance, Per Brenner, Richard Wall, Sarah Murphy, Shannon Stockbridge, Travis Lawheed, William Hutton, William Lintes, Zeke Farmer, an anonymous admirer from Israel, Ish of the Hammer, John Rice, and last but not least, Kat Lane. Thank you all very much.
Yes, thank you guys.
And we will talk at you next time about the next chapter, which is called, Greta?
Which is called Barrels Out of Bond.
Barrels Out of Bond.
Barrels Out of Bond.
There you go. Don't forget to head on over to patreon.com/TolkienRoad and patronize us. $1 per episode can get you a weekly episode. You're getting us there, right? So please do help us out there if you can. We really appreciate it. Help yourself out.
Yeah. Help us help you.
And thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks, y'all.
Have a good one.
Bye.